Hello everyone, thanks for clicking on my video. Today I will be talking to you all about a project I've wanted to start for years, an HO scale layout. I actually own a small amount of HO scale rolling stock, as well as an engine. However, what I do not own is space. All I can afford in my room is one corner. So, I finally decided to make a 009/HOn3 layout. With tighter curves and smaller equipment, I can make an amazing layout with far less space. I have the layout generally planned out, but I'm sure I'll change a few things by the time it is done. Essentially, it is two tables put together into an L. The layout itself is fairly simple as well, just a loop of track folded over itself. I originally had a spur that connected in a way that allowed engines to turn around, but I'll probably remove this, at least for a while, because of the wiring involved. I want a layout that I can sit back and enjoy, not one where I need to be constantly switching power to different chunks to ensure the engines don't short circuit. The track plan has a lot of inspiration. I really like all things narrow gauge, so the layout has a lot of bits from different railways. The inclined railway is reminiscent of early Welsh slate mine railways, like the Tallyclint in Wales. The mountains and ravines are based off various narrow gauge railways that steam through the Rocky Mountains. The track switchings over each other are loosely based off the Blue Mountain Quarry on the Skarloey Railway. I also have ideas for the engines that will run on this line. The first few locomotives would be Hunslets, as the line opened to serve the quarry and the towns were built around it. Later, a few Englands like Prince on the Festiniog. Speaking of the Festiniog, I also want an engine like the early Mountain Ear, as well as a double-ended Fairley or two. And heck, maybe a few American designs as well. I've wanted models of the Rio Grande Southern's geese for a while, and I think it would look interesting running alongside foreign engines. The very first piece of rolling stock, coach number 1, was more or less a proof of concept. I have an Ender 3 3D printer and wanted to see if I could make my own rolling stock for my railway. I've seen it done before, but with resin printers, not PLA ones, so I was unsure if it would turn out well. So I went to Blender. It took me a little less than 3 hours to make a simple coach body, closely based off the Tallyclint Railway's early coaches, but with some differences, most notably doors on both sides. I then put it through the 3D slicer and started printing. And they came out great. A little tricky to glue together, but they will work. I have only the walls modeled right now, as I didn't want to spend time modeling a whole coach if it didn't work. I'll work on a chassis later after I get some wheels. As of right now, I do not think I can print smooth wheels, so I'll have to get those from somewhere else. I also need to work out a coupling system. I want something that looks good but can still work with auto decouplers. I considered simply making like the early railways, and just having a section of small chain between the cars, but that would be tricky at this size, and an auto decoupler would be nearly impossible. I think I will go with international style hook and loop couplers, as they are cheap, easy to come by, and simple to make myself, as well as reliable with auto couplers and decouplers. The track work will need a lot of consideration. I currently have two 3-foot sections of standard gauge HO scale flex track. Once I get a 009 track gauge, which I think I can print if I get good measurements, I can remove the metal rails from their plastic ties and work on laying narrow gauge track. I read once where a man took small bits of wood, glued metal squares to the tops of them, and soldered the rails to that. I've also seen where people use miniature nails to keep the rails in place. I will probably go with the first option, as it seems easier than miniature nails. If you know of a better way to make 009 track, please let me know in the comments. However, the biggest problem right now is the surface I have to build on, or lack thereof. I may make the table soon, but as it's getting colder outside, I don't know when I'll be able to work on these. I'll make another video when I get some more progress done. In the meantime, goodbye, and thanks again for watching my video. If you liked it, please press the like button, and if you want to know when I upload again, please consider subscribing. Thanks again.